Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and let's have some fun, right? The football season is here, and you should be making me your first listen of the day if you haven't already, because we're gonna dive into a lot of things. Tomorrow's episode, former Buff Jordan Dominic's gonna hop on the show. We're gonna talk about what went wrong from from his perspective, right? A football player's just perspective or a Colorado player's perspective. Let's talk Deion Sanders' coordinator, right? The offense. I think here's my take on the Pat Shurmur situation. Pat Shurmur's offense isn't bad, right? I like the looks we were getting. I liked the backfield, like when they had multiple running backs in the backfield. I like when we were running 21 personnel. I liked when they were utilizing the tight ends. I liked the looks we were getting. That being said, the play calling in certain times, certain periods, it was just like, why? Right? What are we doing here? Why aren't we being aggressive? We have a chance for a kill shot, and we're not taking the kill shot opportunity. And so I that brings the question that I tweeted on Locked on Buffs over there. Is it time for Byron Leftwich to call plays? Now, Byron Leftwich, I don't really know what his role is, right? His role is a quote-unquote quarterback mentor. So he's there to help Julian Lewis, Kaidon Salter. I don't even know if he's there full-time. That being said, Pat Shurmur, things that really, I think, irked me about Colorado's offense, and this is where the Pat Shurmur problem comes. Colorado forced 3 turnovers in Georgia Tech's first 3 drives. Colorado, at a minimum, should have had 14 or 10 points, right? They get 7 points off of 3 turnovers. And, you score 1 touchdown, right? It's a 27-20 game or 27-27 game, right? You don't have to worry about the horrendous late game management, but you have an opportunity to win the game in other ways, right? You take pressure off this. You take confidence off of Georgia Tech. You prevent Haynes King and Georgia Tech from being able to run the ball because, like, hey, we're down 2 scores, 3 scores. We have to throw the ball, right? Colorado basically let Georgia Tech play their game, and that's a game that I said before the game itself. Colorado can't beat Georgia Tech and be more physical, right? Colorado has struggled with more physical teams. They did last year, and it looks like they will again this year, unless they figure it out in the next week. But Pat Shurmur, this is what happens right after. Georgia Tech fumbles 2 plays. Colorado scores in 5, and it's like, okay, here we go, right? Colorado pedal to the metal. Let's force the issue. Let's shove it down their throats. Fumble the next play. Fumble, next drive, Colorado, incomplete pass, 3 and out, right? All of a sudden, it's like, okay, 27-second drive, 27-second drive, and then we punt. Great. Interception, Haynes King, DJ McKinney, diving interception, right? Great pressure by Quincy Wiggins, forces the bad throw. Colorado, 3 plays and out. Incomplete pass, run for 9 yards. Incomplete pass, right? And they could have gone for it, too. I really think that there was an opportunity for Colorado to take it's 3rd and 4. So then they complete the pass for 3 yards. It's 4th and 1 at the Colorado 43. Why aren't we getting aggressive there? Instead, they take a delay a game and allow their punter to punt it further. It's like, why not go for it on 4th and 1? Show Georgia Tech, like, hey, we hold the cards here. We are holding the fate of this game in our hands, not you guys, right? We're not going to let you guys get back into it. And so, again, I want to reiterate, Pat Shurmur's offense itself, the schemes, the looks, not bad. I don't hate them. What I was not a fan of was the play calling. And before anyone says, like, oh, Deion Sanders isn't going to move on from him, I hate to break it to you, but Deion Sanders cycled through coordinators at Jackson State. Sean Lewis, who's now a head coach at San Diego State, was demoted mid-season for Pat Shurmur, by the way, at Colorado, right? Deion Sanders has never shied away from pulling the plug on an experiment or a coach that doesn't work, right? And obviously you don't want someone to lose your job. I think that's one of my biggest lessons I learned in my time in the media was my first year covering a team. I was covering Stanford, and it was David Shaw's last year, actually. And it was one of those things where I'm looking at David Shaw, and this team has multiple NFL talents on it. And it's like they're 3-9, and the life was out of the program. fan base wasn't showing up. And what I learned is that there's like a human element to this thing. It's after a game, and I think they had just lost, and it was a pretty bad loss, as most of them had been that year. And I looked David Shaw in the eyes, and no one had asked him this question yet. And I asked him something along the lines of, do you feel like you're on the hot seat? Do you feel like you still deserve to be the head coach at Stanford? Like, can you figure it out? And like, obviously, and I don't know if this is how every press conference is going, but his wife is off to the side, his family's off to the side, and everyone just kind of looks at me. And it's like, it was a hard question to ask, but it was the right question to ask because he ended up stepping down at the end of the year. And that's all I'm trying to say is there's a human element to this. Like, I'm not just like fire this guy, fire that guy, because it'd be like if someone showed up to your day job and you're sitting there typing away at your cubicle and one of your coworkers or a random observer named Steve is like, hey, Kevin sucks, fire him. And your boss is like, okay, yeah, Kevin does suck, I'm going to fire him. Right. It's not something that I take lightly when I call for someone's job. And I'm not calling for Pat Shurmur's job, but I am saying that it wouldn't shock me if we get to a point where it's like, okay, we're not where we need to be. And you're currently calling the plays, right? If Sean Lewis could be demoted, Pat Shurmur could be demoted. And Colorado has a good game this week against Delaware to figure it out. And then after that, they play a game against Houston and Wyoming. So Houston's better than they were, but Houston is a winnable game. If it's September 27th and you're going against BYU, that stretch, that's BYU, TCU, Iowa State, Utah, and you haven't figured things out on offense, it's going to be tough, right? And Pat Shurmur needs to be more aggressive. He needs to be more, I think, strategic with his play calling, I guess, and just needs to he needs to flip a switch. I don't know what switch it is. It's just going to automatically fix it, but he needs to find it and he needs to flip it because Coach Prime has never shied away from going away from someone. So if he's not living up to the Coach Prime standard, we may see a change in play caller, and it could be Coach Bartolone as well. I really don't know what Coach Leftwich's role with Colorado is. I don't know his capacity, right? So there's that. But Colorado may have to make a change. I really hope it doesn't get to that point. But the offense, I wasn't inspired by that performance. That's showing a play calling. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the quarterback situation. Is it time to bench Kaidon Salter, or are we jumping the gun? This episode of Locked on Bus is also brought to you by our sponsors over at Rougiet. You've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But guys, if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Ready. Rougiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average, in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rougiet might be the only answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. So if you want to make the switch and get a little frisky in the bedroom, if you know what I mean, head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiet website for full safety information.